So in today's lesson, we're going to look at pronation and supination. When most people think of pronation and supination, they're thinking feet and maybe hands and how they collapse and pop out of that. We're going to look at actually the whole body as it is pronating and supination. And generally, when we're in locomotion or following gait and traveling forward, what's happening is we're falling forward. So our center of gravity is being placed in front of itself, and we use gravity to move forward. However, when we had an incline or a decline, the incline decreases that amount we can fall forward because we have a slope in front of us. And on a decline, it increases how much we fall forward. So it's very important that the muscles and the structures that are taking us forward are very precise in where they place our feet or our hands. Part two is when we are going up, the muscles that actually supinate, that are preventing us from falling, are actually having to propel us harder because they're trying to overcome the center of gravity limitation that we don't have to assist us. So those muscles are working harder on the way up, but then on the way down, they're having to prevent us from falling forward because we're actually falling farther than we normally do on a flat surface. So in that light, supination muscles are being used in both scenarios at a higher level than they would be in a normal situation. So now we have to look at and break down what muscle groups we need to look at in each situation. So for persistent motion in the pronation, this is generally speaking, we're going to want to look at trunk flexors, hip adductors, knee flexors, and in the shoulder we're going to want to look at protractors, we're going to look at adductors, and depressors. And in the supination scenario, we're going to want to look at trunk extenders, hip extenders, knee extensors, hip abductors, and the shoulders are going to want to look at shoulder retraction, shoulder elevation, and shoulder abduction. And also in the elbow, we're going to look at elbow flexion for pronation and elbow extension for supination. Now this is a very strategic manner of seeing things and how we're going to handle our training scenarios and how we periodize that. So in off-season or in beginning training sessions, we're going to prepare our bodies through these scenarios to improve strength. So when we actually put all the parts of that sum into one situation, the sum will equal a stronger system and be able to handle more load when we get into our strength training phases, and really extending how our endurance and muscle stamina will last throughout our training periods into whatever goals we have in our summits. So I look forward to teaching you these pieces as we move forward. But that perspective is huge in how we fall forward, and understanding that when we fall forward, it's harder to fall up a mountain. So those muscles that actually propel us are working harder to prevent us from falling and propel us forward are working harder. So they must be at a higher strength load and endurance and force output to maximize us from getting to the top and also getting down safely.